I'm going to present to you is this. All right. Do you know who that brother is?
It's Brother Dana, ain't it? Dana Stevens?
But see,
Dana Stevens.
Yes.
Right. Does Dana Stevens teach?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Have any of you been on Dana Stevens Live?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Those who have been on Dana Stevens Live, how many white people you seen on Dana Stevens Live?
Not many.
Dana Stevens generally have somewhere between maybe 300-400 people at a time sometimes. Maybe his total views, each video, probably 6,000, something like that, plus views. And that's just on Facebook. That ain't even on YouTube. His YouTube is crazy. Have y'all ever seen any of the camps or anybody try to tell this brother that he shouldn't be teaching or can't teach? Or do you oftentimes see them sharing his videos promoting him teaching?
I've seen his videos shared.
Share them, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've seen Dana Stevenson video shared. Now here's my thing. Dana Stevens is good enough for an Israelite to share his videos to convince other Israelites or other black people walk in who they are. But Dana Stevens isn't good enough to learn from. But yet you use his video as a learning tool. And
Being converted.
if we're going to say that a Gentile cannot teach, then no Israelite should even be sharing Dana Stevens videos. No, I don't care if it's to use them to wake up your auntie, your mama, your baby mama, your sister, your cousin. It doesn't matter. If you're going to stand on the side of no Gentiles teaching, then we can't be hypocritical and say, well, okay, well, they can learn and you can learn from them and who you are. But once you know who you are, then you got to get under an Israelite. That makes no sense. If he can't teach, he can't teach. It doesn't matter what the circumstances is. Y'all familiar with this, brother?
Oh, yeah. Matthew Nolan.
Matthew Nolan. Everybody. Before Dana Stevenson got popular, everybody was sharing Matthew Nolan videos. He's now in the States, but when he was in I think he's from England, he was like one of the first ones to tell Negroes that they was Israelites. Matthew Nolan. And guess what? Israelites use Matthew Nolan videos to promote that you're an Israelite. Why are you using a white man videos to promote that you're an Israelite if Gentiles can't teach?
You know, if a white guy said it must be true.
So a white guy said it must be true. But it's hypocrisy within our own community because we push and teach and promote that they can't teach, but we use them to teach. This is a major issue. So between Dana Stevens, Matthew Nolan, they probably brought thousands of black people. Thousands of black people to knowing that they're an Israelite. Would you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're doing the work. You can't deny that.
Now, let me tell y'all something about Dana Stevens. How many of you was at James 1-1 when I brought Dana Stevens down to James 1-1?
I was there.
I was there.
How many of you that was there saw Dana Stevens teach?
Yeah.
He taught.
Yep.
Let me ask y'all who were there this. How many Israelites you saw get up and walk out?
0.
None that I seen.
Dana Stevens taught for 30 minutes. Not one Israelite had an objection. Not one Israelite said, I'm out of here because no Gentiles teach me. Nobody opened their mouth. You know what they did? They applauded him like he was like he was a superstar. And at the end, they applauded him again like he was a superstar. Did interviews with him, took pictures with him, and all of that, and say, I know Dana Stevens. Now, one Israelite, and some of them, I know I've seen them do videos saying that Gentiles can't teach, but yet they were in the building when he was there and didn't get up and leave. Or did have an objection to say that he shouldn't be teaching me or teaching any Israelites. You know what they said? They said, Dana Stevenson, man, hey, man, that white boy be teaching, man. That white boy be going at the Christians. That white boy be going at the white people. All of that stuff. That's what they say. So you can't in 1 minute say he can't teach and then on the fans applaud him while he's teaching and taking pictures with him. This is the hypocrisy that we can't do. If we're going to follow the scripts, if we're going to say this is what the scriptures say, then we have to make sure that we cannot justify it when it need be, and then on the other end say that he can't teach. With this brother, Lucas Cameron. Now, we know that Lucas Cameron has reached a lot of people as well. And a lot of Israelites. Now, we know, but outside of Dana, outside of Matthew Nolan, we know personally, we know Luke. And we know that a lot of Israelites rock with Luke. A lot of them go to his conferences or go to his page, watch his videos. They promote Lucas Cameron. They're actually promoting and sharing their stuff. That's the first thing that I want to get into, or the first exhibits that I presented. Now, let's get into some scripture. Let's deal with Isaiah 14, because this particular passage of scripture is one of the main scriptures that is used to say that Gentiles cannot teach Israelites. This is one of the main passages. So let's read this. Isaiah 14, 1 through 2. For the Elohim will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Yisrael and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. They say, see, Gentiles are not supposed to be teaching. They're supposed to learn from us. And they use this passage of scripture to say that they're supposed to learn from us by cleaving to us. That's how they learn. They're supposed to learn from us by cleaving to Jacob. Verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Elohim for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Now, with this, they're saying that they're supposed to learn, but yet they also say that they're going to be their slaves or servants at the same time, using this particular passage in Isaiah 14, 1 through 2. Now, the question is the interpretation correct in what's being read? Let's go to the next slide. Now, let's look at it in the Amplified. We just read the KJV. Let's look at it in the Amplified. For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob, the captives in Babylon, and will again choose Israel and will settle them in their own land. Foreigners, Gentiles, will join them as proselytes. That's going to be very important later on in this lesson, and will attach themselves to the house of Jacob or Israel. The peoples will take them along and bring them to their own place, Judea, and the house of Israel will possess them as an inheritance in the land of the Lord as male and female servants.
Slaves.
Will take captive those whose captives they have been, and they will rule over their former oppressors. Somebody was saying something?
I said that's supposed to be slaves. They're not servants. You know, that's what they say.
Yeah. Now let's look at the NLT, see what the NLT has to say. Okay. But the Lord will have mercy on the descendants of Jacob. He will choose Israel as his special people once again. He will bring them back to settle once again in their own land. And people from many different nations will come and join them there and unite with the people of Israel. Now, hold on, let's stop. First of all, let's look at the context of this particular passage, okay? Let's go back to here. The word cleave here, and this is Old English, Quaker English terminology, okay? Now, let's go to more of a manuscript understanding dealing with it in the Amplified. Now, let's read this slow. For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob, the captives in Babylon, and will again choose Israel, and will settle them in their own land. Wait a minute, hold on. Now, brothers are saying that the Gentiles are supposed to learn from us. But here's the problem. We ain't in our own land. We're not in our land. We're in another captivity. In order for them to cleave to us, the cleaving happens when we're set in our land, not in America. So the whole passage of understanding of they're supposed to learn from us while we're in captivity is not correct. Here in the particular passage, it says, and will settle them in their own land. Foreigners, Gentiles will join them. Join them. See, the terminology of cleave, it brings brother into an understanding of that means that they're supposed to hold on to us. That's not what that means. It means joining with Israel.
Yeah, becoming one.
Land, the Gentiles will be in the land with us. We shall be one people in the land together, following one law in the land together, not being scattered, not in America, not in the four corners of the earth, but in our own land. And they shall join them as proselytes. And we're going to get into understand what this proselyte means. And will attach themselves to the house of Jacob, Israel. The people will take them along and bring them to their own place in Judea. And the house of Israel will possess them as an inheritance in the land of the Lord as male and female servants. Again, like Deacon Eric or Elder Eric brought out, not slaves, servants. And they will take captive. Now listen to this. Now, here are the ones who are cleaving. The Gentile proselytes are joining themselves with the Israelites in the land. Stop, semicolon. Now it gets into a different conversation. And they will take captive those who captives they have been. If you've been a captive to somebody, that means that person that you're in captivity to, that person, they're not treating you well. They're treating you bad. If you're a captive in the land, right? So guess what? These particular individuals here at the latter part of this particular verse, verse 2, are not the same people as the proselytes. They're not the foreigners, okay? It says here, and they will take captive those who captive they have been, and they will rule over their former oppressors. Now, here's the thing. If these Gentile and proselytes are the oppressors, how in the world are they going to join themselves and be proselytes to Israelites? You only become, you have converted to the ways of Israel, which means that you follow the law in how you treat your neighbor or treat your brother or sister, even if they are a servant to you, you don't mistreat them according to the law. So yet, these folks here down at the bottom, who the oppressors are, there's the one that's going to receive the bulk of the damnation, not the ones who joined themselves with Israel and were saved and placed in the land. So I guess those who treated us bad, we're going to turn around and we're going to be joined together in the land of Israel and living happily ever after. No,